Welcome back to Open Line. We are talking about a bill making its way through the legislature, or that is certainly before the legislature right now, the transgender bathroom bill. We have with us someone who is opposed to that bill. We've reached out to the other side. They may come on at a later date, but Marissa Richmond is here with Transgender Political Coalition, again, opposed to that bill. Let's go to the phones. We kind of set the table in the first portion. Let's go to Tiffany. Hello, Tiffany.
Hello. I just want to say that, okay, I'm a Christian, and I'm not judging you on anything you do, okay? I love you. And, you know, I can't judge you for your sins, and I'm struggling with sins of my own, okay? But, you know, I don't have no problem with people living their life the way they want to. But I just feel like this is going just a little bit too far, because I feel like you're infringing on people who's not comfortable with this. You know, I don't want a man in the stall next to me using the bathroom. If somebody comes in the bathroom with me and he has male genitals, he should not be in there. I don't care what he looks like on the outside. Yeah. I don't understand. If y'all want this, why can't you like have your own restroom? But this right here is just, it's going too far. And
okay, all right, well, let's talk about that, and I appreciate your call, I really do. All right, so you hear that, says it's going too far, it makes her feel uncomfortable. What do you say there?
Well, for starters, we agree men should not be in women's restrooms, and there's and laws that protect people from harassment and sexual assault would not be changed in any way. And so what we're saying is that trans men should not be in women's restrooms. Trans men should be in the men's restrooms. And if this bill passes, this would actually force trans men into women's restrooms, because again, many of them, especially because Tennessee is the only state that does not permit gender changes of birth certificates, they would be forced into women's restrooms. And this is part of why we say it will increase the bullying and harassment and physical assault. It would make those men more vulnerable to such attacks, because they would, be forced into a place that they don't want to go to because they would feel unsafe. Of course, most restrooms, if not all, especially in schools, definitely in colleges, have stall doors. And so people actually want to go in and close that door. They want to be left alone. And trans people don't want to be harassed and bullied. And again, this is why we consider this bill bad, because it would increase that.
And I guess, is this have there been documented problems prior to now? And I mean, on the face of it, people could say, well, I feel uncomfortable, and I can respect and understand that, but everyone is in there for a purpose, and they want to get out of there pretty quickly.
Exactly.
Are there big problems that we've seen all over the state of Tennessee?
If there are problems, it's the trans people who are being attacked. Again, as I said, all the studies that have looked at this issue have found 0 incidents of trans people causing the incidents. It's the trans people who are the victims of these incidents.
And so, were you surprised when this bill came up?
No. We've started to see, well, first off, we had a bill here in Tennessee in 2012. That one was not limited to schools. It was all public facilities, including airports and restaurants and the like. And again, the idea that people would have to produce a birth certificate. So imagine somebody transferring at Memphis Airport after being on a flight for 2 or 3 hours and saying, I'm going to hold it till I get on the ground because I don't want to use, in this case, a gender-neutral bathroom in that tiny little airplane restroom facilities. And they rush off the plane and run up, and there's somebody there demanding their birth certificate before they'd be allowed in the door. I mean, that would just be a disaster. So we fought that bill 4 years ago, and we're seeing a bunch of these all over the country. South Dakota, it made it to the governor's desk last week. He vetoed it, and their state house upheld that veto by a substantial margin. And
he's a Republican governor.
And a Republican governor. And he said he vetoed it after he met transgender South Dakotans and said, I've learned something, you've opened my eyes. And that because he had not taken the time to meet or learn about trans people in his state. Washington State, they got it to the state Senate, I think, and they got it was defeated by 1 vote. So we're having about a dozen of these around the country. Kentucky and Georgia that border us have had these bills, but they've not yet passed anywhere.
Now, David Fowler is someone who was in the state Senate for 12 years. He's now president of an organization called FACT. He is opposed, well, he's for the bill. He very much supports this bill. He says all a boy needs to do in order to walk into a girl's restroom is verbalize a desire to be treated as a girl. And that is his concern. When that's what they're saying.
That's what they're saying. That's not true. A person would have to have their gender recognized by the school. In most cases, they would probably have a therapist come in with them and explain that this is not just some arbitrary decision. This isn't just for a day as a joke or a lark. That this is who this person is, and that this is truly their identity, and it's their being. Their inner core being. And so this is what's already happening around the state, around the country, that students and their parents are going into the schools and explaining to the schools, and the schools are working with those families all over the place.
Let's take this opportunity to educate everyone. What are the numbers when it comes to transgender in your knowledge here? What are the numbers?
We actually have no idea. I've seen estimates from 1/10 of a percentage to 10%, and there's no solid documentation. The Census Bureau has never counted the trans community. We asked them to do so in 2010. We're hoping they'll do so in 2020. There was a study conducted in 2010, published in early 2011, that had 6,400 respondents. We just did a new study last fall, the numbers will be released in June, with 25,000 respondents. So we think that the jump, almost fourfold jump, is because the people are always there, but now more are willing to come out and allow themselves to be counted and are willing to share their stories. So we have no idea how many more there are out there who remain invisible and hidden. Mm-hmm. But they're part of everybody's life, in your workplace, in your school, in your place of worship, in your families. Trans people are everywhere, but most people may not see them.
Let's go to Ted. Hello, Ted?
Tad.
Tad, okay, sorry. Go right ahead.
So in the 50s and the 60s, blacks were persecuted, and, we had segregated bathrooms. If you're using that argument, we integrated the bathrooms, and that's equal rights. For everyone. So it's a physiological issue. It's psychologically anybody can be categorized as anything. So those are two issues that pretty much debunk the whole issue.
Okay. What do you think of that?
Yeah, thank you, Tad. Yes, all those Jim Crow laws that Tennessee and other states had were based on myth and stereotype and fear. And that's what this whole bill is driven by. It's based on myth and stereotype and fear. It's not based on reality.
All right, let's go to Ann. Hello, Ann.
Yes.
Hi, go right ahead.
First, let me say that this is the same caller from this morning. I am very much against this bill. I just retired from school security, and I feel this will do more harm than good because there's no way to police bathrooms, and I believe this will increase sex and hate crimes on the transgender male and females. One, you can't police bathrooms. What can an individual do to help to prevent this bill from being passed? Elementary students don't understand. Middle school students can begin to understand the process that's taking place. High school students will either accept it or be vicious and cruel. There is no way to police locker rooms, showers, and restrooms. This bill will bring more harm than good. Metro schools do not report sex and hate crimes the way they should, and this will bring on more.
And you're speaking as somebody who is in security, right, with Metro schools?
20 years of it. I've just retired.
Okay. Well, thank you.
I've seen more cutting. I've seen more suicide. Vanderbilt stalwart patients. This will do more harm than good. What can a citizen do? What do we need to do to prevent this bill from being being passed.
All right.
Well, thank you, Ann. The bill is on the House side in the, it's a long name, Education, Administration, and Planning Subcommittee. The meeting is 3 o'clock in the afternoon this coming Tuesday. We're asking people, especially if you live in their specific districts, to contact the members of the committee. Now, none of them on the House side are from Davidson County, but we do have 2 from Rutherford County, Don White and Rick Womack, although he's been out of the country in Israel. But we're asking people, especially if you live in those districts, to contact the members of the subcommittee. On the Senate side, it's in the Senate Education Committee, which is chaired by, well, the chair of the House subcommittee, I should say, is Mark White of Memphis. On the Senate side, this chair is Dolores Gresham from Somerville in West Tennessee. Stephen Dickerson here in Nashville is a member of that committee. I don't think any other Nashvilleian is on the committee, and I'm blanking out on the top of my head who I don't have the roster in front of me, so I can't recall if there are other Middle Tennesseans. But you can go to the state legislative website, www.capitol.tn.gov, and if you click on committees, you can see, again, it's the Senate Education Committee and the House Education, Administration, and Planning Subcommittee, and you can see the members of the committee, and you can send emails or call in the morning and let them know your opposition to this bill.
As someone who opposes it, are you encouraged by the fact that it's been rolled a couple of times? Do you take any indication that that means one way or another how things are going with this bill?
Well, it got rolled because we got stuck behind contentious bills the last 2 weeks. So last week, the committee meeting went 3 hours. Last night it went 3.5 hours. And so by the time they got to our bill, Chairman White says, we know that there's a lot of controversy we've got people who want to testify, and they've been sitting there for 3 hours, which started at 3 o'clock. So it was now 6 o'clock. They're getting hungry. They want to go out to dinner and probably go watch basketball or whatever. And so they want to leave and go back to their apartments, their hotel rooms for the night and relax. So that's why we kept getting rolled. But they promised next week it is the very first bill on the calendar.
Oh, so it's going to happen. And there will be testimony?
Yes.
Would you testify?
I'm willing to, yes. We'll see if they're asking people to limit it to 2 or 3, but I'm willing and available.
All right. We're going to take a break. If you want to call, there's the number, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. Take a break. Be back right after this.